For more on Harris's running mate decision, I want to bring in senior White House and political correspondent Ed O'Keefe. He's in St. Paul, Minnesota. Walz has a long political history in Minnesota and Washington. What stands out to you about his stances on key issues, and how do these align with Harris's policies?
This is where the governor's been staying. He is now en route to Philadelphia for that rally later today with Vice President Harris. To your point, yes, he did have a pretty strong bipartisan record during his time in Congress, and was known to have sponsored several big pieces of legislation that were introduced by Republicans, and sort of served as someone who was a reliable potential Democratic vote on bipartisan issues, in part because the congressional district he represented, which runs along the southern part of Minnesota and borders Iowa, was for so long a Republican area and became a real swing district in 2006 and beyond, when he was first elected to the House. This is somebody who, as a Democrat, was being reelected in presidential years by more than the Democratic presidential nominee was on the ticket, a sign that he had crossover appeal and maintained that. Now, when he got around to running for governor in 2018, in the wake of, for example, the big shooting, remember, in Las Vegas that killed more than 50 people, it was then that his politics on issues like gun control began to shift. He donated all the money he'd received from the NRA to a veterans group. He began to support things like universal background checks, even though he has a history from a young age as a hunter and a gun owner. And that sort of signals the kind of shift that he began to make once he began running for governor. And as governor, with a Democratic supermajority now in the legislature, he's been able to pass a series of bills in recent years that are going to draw Republican criticism, codifying protections for abortion, protections for transgender youth, other police reforms passed in the wake of the George Floyd killing here back in 2020 that are going to be at the crux of a lot of the GOP arguments, as you were hearing J.D. Vance talk about just now.
Another one is going to be the aftermath and the protests following the murder of George Floyd. Walz was governor of Minnesota during that time. Remind us his response to those events and how it was perceived.
So remember that there were riots in Minneapolis and here in St. Paul in the wake of that killing. The mayor had made a request for National Guard to be deployed into the city. The governor took about an extra day and a half or so to do so, and only after some of the most violent and destructive incidents of those riots. It led to a state Senate Republican report that criticized how he responded. The governor wrote that off as an election year gambit. But it is going to be the subject of a lot of the criticism he receives from Republicans, that at a time when Democrats were struggling with how to deal with that issue and how to talk about policing in this country, he maybe wavered and waited too long to respond to that violence. He talked a little bit about the situation in an interview with Gayle King on CBS Mornings shortly after the police officer in that incident, Derek Chauvin, was sentenced. Take a listen.
I think they're right, and I think that's the feeling that much more has to be done. And one of the things was we came together in July in the aftermath of that, and in a divided legislature, we found bipartisan. It's not a big lift to say we should ban chokeholds, but there were so many activists saying that's not good enough. You need to make sure that mental health folks are responding to these. You need to make sure that traffic stops are not reasons to arrest folks and lead to these confrontations you see.
So he's referring there, Lindsay, to legislation that was passed a few months after George Floyd's death that banned chokeholds, created a team to provide mental health services for police officers, provided $3 million more in police training at a time when there was talk about defunding the police. All of it will be up for scrutiny in the coming days, weeks, and months as the campaign rolls along.
Ed O'Keefe, thank you.